Hi, my name is David Fleming from the Disciples Ignited YouTube channel, where we are focused on Jesus, advancing his kingdom, and preparing his disciples. I'm really glad that you've decided to join with us in Disciples Ignited's new series called Bible Treasures, where we're learning scriptures. We're memorizing scriptures together. These are scriptures that I have personally memorized throughout my walk with Jesus for 50-something years, and they have been such a help to me, and I know that they're going to help you too. Now, this week we're looking and memorizing 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 9 and 10. So, as we get started, let's quote as much of that as we can. Follow along with me. Then he said to me, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. That is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weaknesses, in insults, in hardships, in persecutions, in difficulties. For when I am weak, then I am strong." Now, we have already in the previous videos, we've memorized verse 9. Today, we're going to be memorizing the first part of verse 10. That is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weaknesses, in insults, in hardships, in persecutions, in difficulties. Now, let's go through each one of those together, and we'll see how they are different from one another. Now, first of all, Paul says, I delight. Now, why does he delight in these things? Because he realizes that they are benefiting him in some way. How are they benefiting him? Well, as he is going through weaknesses. Now, he's already talked about his weaknesses have been driving him to the grace of God, which really has released God's power in his life, because Jesus told him that my power is made perfect. It is perfected in your weakness. So he's delighting in his weakness. Now, this is really interesting, because most people boast about all their strengths and their capabilities and all that they have going for them. Not Paul. He says, I am delighting in my weaknesses. Why? Because he sees its benefit. It is making him press into Jesus. It's making him lean on Jesus. It's making him depend upon Jesus all the more, so that he is given the grace that he needs to go through whatever problems, difficulties he's going through. So he says, I delight in my weaknesses. What about you? Are you delighting in your weaknesses? Do you see their benefit? Are they making you press into Jesus? Are they making you depend upon Jesus? If they are, you have every reason to delight in them. But Paul says, I delight in insults. Wow. When you're insulted, do you delight in that? Well, if it makes you lean on Jesus, then it's beneficial. He said, I delight in hardships. Now, hardships, that's just when you are going through difficult times, hard times. But then he says, I also delight in persecutions, and then I delight in difficulties. Now, what's the difference between hardships and difficulties? Well, difficulties, the Greek word for difficulties really is talking about restriction. It's like you're going down a path, and all of a sudden that path gets narrower and narrower, and you are just restricted. You can't hardly even move. Paul says, I delight when life is like that, because it just makes me lean on Jesus, saying, Lord, what do I do? And his power comes and makes a way. Paul had such a revelation of this, and it helped him become the man that he was. Remember, we're memorizing verse 10, where Paul said, that is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weaknesses, in insults, in hardships, in persecutions, in difficulties. For when I am weak, then I am strong. Join me tomorrow, and we'll learn the very last part of verse 10 and put it all together. See you tomorrow.